Okay, we're live.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعلني وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي اشدد به أزري واشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من قولي وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى اله واصحابه اجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you for joining. Inshallah, we are going to continue, basically go into the ninth word as we did start it last Saturday morning, and we kind of got the gist of it on what it means for the prayers, for how we are supposed to kind of get our spirit acquainted with the changes that keep happening around us on a daily basis. And it was a beautiful reading. I was mesmerized, and I know many of you were as well, with how the author kind of shared how he understands what the wisdom is in the prayers, or what the prayer actually entails. So I felt like, and many friends also kind of felt also that we need to see more, get more into the depth of how the author kind of defines and brings into picture what prayer actually means from his guidance. Let's see if we can also benefit and make our life and our spirit more acquainted with the praise and glorifications that we, inshallah, will touch upon today. So I'll just start reading and we'll stop after the first point, and then we can discuss anything that, and of course, if you would like to ask or have any comments or share any thoughts, of course, I would welcome that as well, inshallah. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. So glorify God when you reach evening and when you rise in the morning. Glorify God when you reach evening and when you rise in the morning. For all praise is His in the heavens and on earth. And towards the end of the day, and when you have reached noon. So this is from the Quran, chapter 30, verse 17 and 18. So my friend, brother, you asked me concerning the wisdom in the specified times of the 5 daily prayers. The wisdom in the specified times of the 5 daily prayers. I shall point out only one of the many instances of wisdom in the times. Yes, like each of the times of prayer marks the start of an important revolution. Each of the times of prayer marks the start of an important revolution. So also is each a mirror to divine disposal of power and to the universal divine bounties within that disposal. So each is a mirror to the divine disposal of power and to the universal divine bounties within that disposal. Thus, more glorification and extolling of the all-powerful one of glory have been ordered at those times, and more praise and thanks for all the innumerable bounties accumulated between each of the times, which is the meaning of the prescribed prayers. In order to understand a little the subtle and profound meaning, you should listen together with my own soul to the following 5 points. So the first point, the meaning of the prayers is the offering of glorification, praise, and thanks to Almighty God. That is to say, uttering glory be to God by word and action before God's glory and sublimity. It is to hallow and worship Him, to honor, recognize, and worship Him, and declaring God is most great through word and act before His sheer perfection. It is to exalt and magnify Him, and saying, all praise be to God with the heart, tongue, and body is to offer thanks before His utter beauty. That is to say, glorification, exaltation, and praise are like the seeds of the prayers. That is to say, glorification, exaltation, and praise are like the seeds of the prayers. That is why these 3 things are present in every part of the prayers, in all the actions and words. It is also why these blessed words are each repeated 33 times after the prayers, in order to strengthen and reiterate the prayer's meaning. The meaning of the prayers is confirmed through these concise summaries. So this is, again, based on the author's reflections of the verse, and you see how the verse is very interesting. It's talking about glorify God when you reach evening, when you rise in the morning. For all praise is His in the heavens and on earth, and towards the end of the day, and when you have reached noon. So it does indicate certain time frames where the word that took me or struck upon me was the word revolution, important revolution that are happening during certain time frames. So just like these times that are mentioned, they specify a particular milestone in the, in the daytime, for example. Like the sun rises and then, all of a sudden at a particular time, the sun starts setting and complete darkness envelopes the whole area where you are. And the next day, and again, from that darkness, all of a sudden you see the lightness starts coming in. And who is organizing all that? So that is one of the questions that everybody can ask themselves. What is organizing that? Who is showing his, controlling the sun and, the atmosphere, the clouds, the air, whatever is there out there in the universe? Who is in charge of that? And if you recall the previous sections that we've been reading, everything has been gradually building up from in the name of God, the most gracious, the merciful, and then we're believing in the unseen things that we are looking at and observing. How are they existing in the world? And establishing my trust in this unseen, or the one who is organizing all these events in my life that are happening. So there is a disposal of power. There is a disposal of mercy, beauty, will, all of that is being displayed in all these events that happen during the day. So they are important revolutions that are happening. And as there was a question on what does the divine disposal of power mean, observe the whole universe and see how would you, the things that are going on, the changes that are happening, who is the one who is moving the sun? Is the sun moving by itself? Does it know what to do? Who is organizing that? Who is organizing the rotation of the earth and the planets, the solar system? Who is organizing your structure, your bone structure in your body? Who put that all together? Can we think about who placed each and every bone in your body the way it is? So obviously it shows the sign that somebody other than my body, the bones themselves, somebody else has arranged and organized them, showing the power being manifested. Somebody with absolute power, absolute knowledge, absolute will must be in charge of showing all that. And there are some other comments, so I'm following them also. So the time of prayers are the mirror, not necessarily the prayer itself. Prayer then becomes the recognition of that power. That's a good point, Qasim. I appreciate that comment as well. So let's think about what each of the times is what the mirror is. Each of the times is a mirror to divine disposal of power. So the morning time, the evening time, every event that is happening, the noon time, your sun is right up at the zenith. How did it happen that way? How is it there? Is it something quote unquote naturally is there? Or there is someone who is actually displaying his mightiness, his glory, his power to everyone? So the sun becomes, and that movement of the sun becomes a mirror to his power. The trees, the plants, the air, the atmosphere becomes mirrors to his power. I, Asim, as a human being, becomes a mirror to his power. So that is how each and every moment, each and every time shows the disposal of power, knowledge, will, mercy, and whatever you can see and deduce in terms of the qualities is being displayed there. And that is what the universal bounties within that disposal is how I understood. So let's move on to thus more glorification and extolling of the all-powerful one of glory have been ordered at those times. So now the author says, hey, all these things that you are witnessing, don't you feel that this has to be noticed and wonder about, like, well, how is this happening? Who is making this? And whoever is making this, since we know that, we've discussed, in the name of God, the most gracious, the merciful, we know that there is this power behind that we don't see physically, but we see the act happening in the universe. We see his act happening. So we know there's an absolute source behind this power, but still you can wonder and see and question, how can you explain all these phenomena that are happening in the world? So more glorification, extolling of the all-powerful one of glory have been ordered at those times, and more praise and thanks for all the innumerable bounties accumulated between each of the times. So innumerable bounties accumulated between each of the times. So let's take for today, for example, in the East Coast, after the Fajr time or the early morning time till now, what has happened? I don't know, maybe some people have had their breakfast, some people may have had their coffee or tea, maybe somebody went out walking or running, or what, there are many things that have been happening in one's lives. But you've been breathing since morning, you have been, just recovered from maybe a good night's rest, and you're beginning to start your day now in terms of what you're going to make out of your day, and that's how the author kind of walks in the later sections on the Fajr time as being the one, as if you're just given birth, and then your Zohar time is basically your peak youth time. It should remind that to the human being. But we'll get there. But before that, this is, all the innumerable bounties accumulated between each of the times. So that is what the meaning of the prescribed prayers is to acknowledge how all these things that are being witnessed and experienced, what do I attribute them to? Who do I praise? Who do I glorify for all those events and things that I'm interacting with and benefiting from? And there is a hand up from Aisha Noor and Abdul Rahman. Please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I just want to thank you so far for these beautiful explanations. I'm really enjoying it. I just wanted to make a small comment. I guess this part about more glorification, more extolling, more praise and thanks for the innumerable bounties accumulated between each of the times. This part had me thinking about how, like as you said, there's a lot of things that happen between, let's say, Fajr and Dhuhr, right? But even for someone, thinking from a different perspective, even for someone who may think that, well, I haven't had innumerable bounties. On the contrary, I've had a terrible start to my day. This and this may have happened. This person's sick, or this person is dying. I got laid off from my job. I got a terrible grade on my exam. There could be many things that one does not perceive necessarily as quote unquote good. But at the base level, for every single human being, that makes it from Fajr to Dhuhr is that, at every single moment, I am, my body in an almost automatic fashion is inhaling and exhaling. I have multiple, I don't know, organs and functions. I'm sure someone who's studied this knows better than I do. Like an endless array of things, really, because the word innumerable kind of garnered my attention. It's not many, it's not a lot, it's countless, eternal, like not eternal, but an innumerable, uncountable amount. In that there are so many things that are continuously happening from my moment to moment existence. I am being given existence, right? I am being given life, as well as feelings and hopes and emotions at every single moment. And all of this is being made possible, must be made possible by a source, right? By a source of existence. So I was just thinking that, I think when one really thinks and reflects upon it, it really is innumerable, I guess. Just by virtue of the fact that I am constantly in a state of dynamic existence, if you will. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha Noor. for those comments. Okay, and I think Farah, would you like to speak? I see your thumbs up, so maybe you want to say something, have any comment?
I just appreciate all the reflection that she shared. I think it was really well articulated and such a beautiful reminder that there is good in all of our struggles. And then when we think biologically and scientifically about all that goes on within us, it is so marvelous and so intentional and truly a gift from Allah.
Thank you, Farah, for the comment. Yeah, indeed, to both of your comments, the innumerable bounties, as the author kind of is mentioning. One really has to wonder, it's one thing to say, hey, my day is going bad, or, some event happened and I'm not happy with that. That's more of a personal and your perception, basically, of the event. It doesn't change the fact that, hey, the millions of people outside are living and breathing and doing what they are doing. The millions of people are going about their things. Okay, my personal thing maybe, okay, is impacted, but if I really look at the sun or the moon, the atmosphere, the earth, nothing is just working the way it is working. The trees, the birds, everything is going on as the way it is intended. So my perception of what is good and bad is another topic we can take on that, but just look at from the existence of the events that are happening from that perspective and see who is organizing your being as you are, the way you are as a human being, the way I am as a human being. Who's organizing all that? Like, just giving existence from moment to moment, from one time to the other time. One is given, the existence from that each moment. How would you say, like, who is doing that, and what would you tell this being? Yeah, I deserved it. This is one attitude that I can take. Yeah, it's natural. I'm supposed to live. No, each moment is a gift, as the commentators have said. Yeah, so think about it, how beautiful it is to just be existing and from one moment to moment. And that itself is one of the most valuable bounties to be able to experience your own life, your existence. And I see there's a comment from Ashwin Abdur Rahman, and the dynamic nature of my existence parallels the very dynamic nature of the universe, how everything is in a state of change, how everything is transforming constantly. Glorification, praise, and thanks then is an intentional response to this dynamism, to the one that is creating all of this for me, and me specifically, so that I may form meaningful relationships with it all. Wonderful. Thank you, Aishanur. And there's a comment from Agabe. It really requires deliberate contemplating to see things as important revolution. Otherwise, days pass very much normal. That took my attention. Thank you, Agabe, for seeing how each event is coming as a revolution. So I see Brother Ali Murmur wants to move on to the first point, or is it he would like to state anything? But I will move on to the first point, and then we can take some comments from everyone. So the first point.
I don't mean it was a mistake. I don't mean. I wanted to raise my hand.
Okay, please go ahead.
Instead of raising my hand, I hit that one. I was going to hit this one because I'm the co-host. I cannot really raise my hand, so it was a mistake. But I'm not. asking you to move further on. No, no, no. Now I wanted to say share something. It is interesting. This verse, this word that we are reading, studies the prayer from the changes of the manifestations of the Creator's qualities in the world point of view, from that point of view. But, for example, at the beginning of this text, the two verses were quoted, and none of these two verses refer to the prayer. There's no word of prayer at all, although the Quran is full of more than 26 times. Prayer is directly ordered. It is interesting. The Quran keeps saying that establish the prayer, and pray constantly, qama, which means establish the prayer, وَيَقِيمُ الصَّلَاةِ, but doesn't give much information. Yeah, I'm going to do it, but how, why? Okay, the Prophet, you can learn how to pray, perform the prayer in physical terms from the practices of the Prophet, the messenger. So he is the representative, he is the interpreter of the Quran. He performs it within his own human capacity. It means, as it is described here, does it as from heart expression, body expression, language expression. We can see the body expression. We can see the language, means hear what he says. But the content of what he says, which means the heart's perception of it, the intellect really comprehends it, is impossible to narrate. So this aspect of any kind of religious duties are left to the whole body of the Quran to explain. What does it mean? Why do I ask you to fast, to go on Hajj, to give zakat? But it doesn't say give zakat and feel this. But the whole body of the Quran presents the case from a specific perspective so that we can understand the content of it and educate our mind, our heart, our consciousness accordingly. The author presents here in a wonderful way that although the verses narrated at the beginning as an introductory to the subject of 5 daily prayer, doesn't have the word prayer, salah, as the Quran uses it. Doesn't say yaqimu salah. No, there is no such thing here. But the verses specify the times of 3 things in general, but mainly 2, but 3. One is glorification of God made by that particular time of the day, presented, manifested itself. How glorified is the Creator, qualities, how glorified the qualities of the Creator are presented to us. And also, another word is introduced to us, glorify and praise. And also, the other one is, how do you say, glorify, pray, takbir?
Thanks.
no, takbir means
Exaltation.
exaltation. Thank you very much. Now, exaltation. So I see the prayer, the heart of the prayer, which my heart must have in it. I cannot learn it from anyone by observing it, even from the prophet. I observe the prophet. I don't know what he's feeling in his heart, what he's reflecting in his mind. I don't know. No one can know. That's why the author very carefully selected the verses here, that these verses introduce the inner aspect of the prayer to us. That is, when we pay the attention to this presentation of the verses of the inner aspect of the prayer, we find out that the Quran teaches us, especially, particularly during these times, which is when you reach evening, when you rise in the morning, and all the heavens and earth all together towards the praises, glorifies, exalts the uh, the Creator towards the end of the day, and also when you reach the moon. These are the, if you like, uh, cornerstones of the day. Why are they? Because the culmination of the manifestations of the qualities of the Creator becomes much more obvious during that time to human mind. That is why all the rest of the text, as we read it beautifully, slowly and digesting in a digesting way, understand that general content of the text here, the ninth word, concentrates on these aspects of the prayer rather than, for example, doesn't say you have to make ruku, bow, bow down and prostrate and stand up 2 times, 5 times. It is obvious. You can learn it from the practices of the prophet, and also as the people see him doing this, they presented it, but they don't see his heart. They don't see his mind. That is the problem. Now, so prayer is not the motion of the body only, motion of mind, motion of heart, how I feel it. So in a summary of this presentation of the text as we read today, a small introductory paragraph and the first point, the summary says, you have to observe all these magnificent and glorification, exaltation, and praise manifesting itself, and you have to really observe it within your senses and think about it as you discussed and explained, what kind of meaning I can gather, I can extract from these manifestations, what do they refer to, and really digest it within yourself. And when the manifestation reaches the peak of this peak of the day of this manifestation, stand up. You also concentrate yourself and respond back to this manifestation. The essence of the prayer is responding back to the manifestations of the qualities of the Creator through my understanding, comprehension, through my feeling, through my body movements, confirming it in physical terms. That's what we learn from the combination of the prophetic teaching plus the Quranic instruction of the essence of everything. Quran explains the essence of everything. The prophet grasps this essence, puts it in his practical life, and we see it is physical experience in his practical life, and the narration of it now. Of course, those people saw it and narrated it, and it reached us. Thank God. So we see the practical explanation of it. That's why Quran does not give detailed, practical side of the worship relationship between me and my Creator, my responding to the manifestations, grace of the Creator. So doesn't give, because the Quran leaves it to the Prophet. But the Prophet as a human being can practice it within his own heart, own feeling, but we cannot see it. We have to learn it from the Quran. This verse is amazing as far as the as far as the method it uses in order to present what the prayer is. This is quite interesting, very interesting, that we need to learn these things from this text. But the other side, practical, physical side, is very easy to learn. You can Google maybe 1,000 pages or video demonstrations. We see teaching how to pray, but physical side of it, not responding back to the manifestation through human heart, human mind, human comprehension, responding back and performing his position before the Creator. That is called worship. Yeah, that is called worship. That is what the worship is described here, declaring his glory, declaring his praise, declaring his exaltation from my side and presenting it to the Creator. How the subject started was exciting for me. That's why I wanted to share my feelings with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Ali. And as you highlighted the verse again, this verse also reminds me of, it says, all praise is his in the heavens and on earth. It shows that how the universe is also making that praise and glorification and exaltation if only we observe it. And it is such an organic way for me to just join in, the glorification, praise, and worship of the heavens and the earth. Every single being, every individual, every event is nothing but the praise and glorification of the manifestation of his being, his qualities. And I have to join in and go along with that praise, with that exaltation, with that glorification. And it's, good point about, very interesting how this verse is really working with the human's soul, with the spirit, and pointing them to the observation aspect of the universe and see what everything else is, how they are behaving, what they are doing, and whose act is it, and then go see, realize that, and then join in, basically, as the gist of recognition is glorification, praise, and extolation. So thank you for that. And in the first point, maybe I think if anybody else has any comment, you have, now's the time. If not, we'll go to the first point. So really, you know, as the comments from Brother Ali kind of showed that the meaning of the prayers, really at the heart of it is the glorification, praise, thanks to Almighty God. And this is what I think, Brother Ali, glory be to God. You know, God is most great. All praise be to God. Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah. All these are constantly being recited. And this is what constitutes actually the meaning of the prayers. Otherwise, what are we really praising for? If there's nothing, if you didn't really eat food, and what are you thanking for? If you didn't really enjoy, you know, experience your existence, what are you glorifying or praising for? So of course there's that concept of witnessing and observing the universe, after which, as a consequence or a natural, your innate response becomes your praise, thanks, and glorification, exaltation. So, and declaring God is most great through word and act before his sheer perfection, it is to exalt and magnify him. And one sentence I thought was very interesting, saying all praise be to God, with the heart, tongue, and the body, is to offer thanks before his utter beauty. And I thought that, you know, it's interesting the order, how the author puts it, you know, first with the heart. You know, when you observe, it settles down in you. Whoa, how look at how this universe is glorifying, how it's working, how it's behaving. And then your tongue expresses it. First the heart, then your tongue, and then your body follows in that prayer. Such a natural consequence, like a more innate, organic way of working on how the human being responds with the heart, tongue, and body, is to offer thanks before his utter beauty. And that is to say, glorification, exaltation, and praise are like the seeds of the prayers. That I thought was very interesting also. And I would like to ask if anybody wants to comment on what does it mean to be the seeds of the prayers for these things. Would anybody want to share what they think or would like to answer? Why does the author say the glorification, exaltation, and praise are like the seeds of the prayers?
So thank you for posing this question. I mean, what comes to me is that seed represent something that, if cultivated properly, yields results, as in plant, tree, and fruit, something sweet. And the glorification, exaltation, and praise are sort of, it's like a meaning that I extract from my experiences in the universe. And so if I really sow those in, as in cultivate those in, then it can yield or must yield some beneficial fruits. So for example, let's say I'm training for the marathon. I know I want to get to a certain level with my speed and everything else. So obviously I'm going to start training little by little. So you kind of sow the seed and then builds up the momentum accordingly. So same thing as far as deriving to some meaning about my existence. Because we're all looking for meaning in our existence.
And it's just not a one-time process. It's not something that happens overnight. It's just like sowing a seed, and then you water it, proper atmosphere. Sometimes there may be thunderstorm, and it may have, we may experience different things, but at the end of the day, our goal is to make sure that we are following the order to the best of our abilities and making sure that we get some kind of fruits out of it. So just a little takeaway.
Sure, thank you for sharing that. And the seeds as the meaning of the things. So the seeds also, for example, every fruit has, most of the fruits have seeds in there. The heart of every fruit is a seed. And how the prayer is kind of described, it's not like an empty prayer. What are we? It's not a physical activity or an exercise. It's not just a body movement or anything, but there needs to be the core to it, the heart, the meat inside that prayer, which is the meaning of the thing. And that is what the seeds of the prayer signifies to me, is the heart of what your prayer has to be. There is this aspect of glorification, exaltation, and praise that should be the foundation. Like, based on my observation and of the universe, I feel the need to glorify, to exalt, and praise the Lord of the universe. And that should form my foundation for my actual prayer. Just like, when he says the heart, tongue, and the body follows, basically your heart and tongue, goes along with it. And then basically your being is also going along with the rest of the universe in this praise and glorification and thankfulness to the source of existence of this world. Would anybody else want to share anything? Or Farah, your thumb is up, so would you like to share anything? All right.
It just stayed up. I didn't realize we had to uncheck it.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. Okay, so if anybody else has any comment on the first point, the other thing I would like to talk about is maybe the reason why these things are present in every part of the prayers and all the action, and words. It is also why these blessed words are each repeated 33 times after the prayers. What is the reason? It says, in order to strengthen and reiterate the prayer's meaning. Sorry, my highlighting is off. So to strengthen and reiterate the prayer's meaning. So it's interesting how important this praise, glorification, and exaltation is, that even after the prayers, it is recommended, many people kind of do this 33 times after the prayers, but look at the meaning behind it and the way how this author is presenting it as his understanding of the verse, by looking at the changes that are happening, and as the many comments from Aisha Noor, Agabe, Qasim have mentioned, seeing all the changes and the power disposal that is being shown, and the dynamism of the universe, everything. Man is just, if man wonders, that is left is just praise and glorification and thanks. And that is exactly how the prayer becomes. And then again, the repetition, because every moment is a new moment. It keeps changing. So we need that. every moment is a new beginning, is a new way of expressing, and our gratefulness, our, what we have received so far, and just responding back to our source of existence. Okay, Qasim, would you like to speak? Please go ahead.
Sure. I guess I hope this is related to the first point. I often reflect on essentially these three things, trying to find them in the paragraph again. Yeah, glorification, exaltation, and praise. If and when we fail to essentially practice or be mindful of these three things, or for simplicity's sake, I'll just say if we forget to pray, there's a sense of guilt, at least personally, that I should have done these three things, or I should have prayed. I'm curious to know why that guilt is there. Is that again due to the lack of essentially practicing or fulfilling this necessary recognition of his existence or his mercy? Is that what leads to it? Just trying to understand that a bit more.
So Qasim, thank you for that comment. So where do you see like the guilt? I don't see that. Maybe I misunderstood you.
No, it's not in the paragraph.
Right.
It's just personally, like when I reflect on a practical way of executing on the first point, I know the feeling when I'm able to fulfill the first point for myself in my existence. But when I'm not able to fulfill it, I personally notice that there's a sense of, maybe guilt is the wrong word, incompleteness, that there's something still lacking. And I'm curious to know, like, we're talking about like, oh, this is what a person should do or is expected of them. I'm trying to kind of understand, like, okay, if a person doesn't do what is expected of them, whatever that feeling is, how can we relate that to, again, our existence and I guess the reality of our existence, which is, again, all of these things are happening and we're failing to recognize them, or I'm failing to recognize them, and how that makes me feel. My question.
Yeah, got it, Qasim. Thank you for elaborating on that. Yeah, so the thing is, the expression elephant in the room kind of thing.
Right.
There's something so obvious, and then we fail to see it, that the elephant is in the room, and we all are tied to other things. But, the way this author is presenting is also like he's saying, hey, listen to my soul, and there has to be a meaning into what one is doing. So regardless of what, the physical practice or personal practice of an individual is, just to start off with the changes in the universe and just being, wonderment of what is going on in the universe is a good start, I would say. And I think Brother Ali would like to share some thoughts, so I will let him speak okay, go ahead, please, Brother Ali.
I think this is a good point, although it is not mainly related to this subject at this stage, but later on we will come to the point to see the relationship between the sense doing one's duty and not doing one's duty, and therefore experiencing the sense of guilt. What I understand from this author, it is not specified in the text here, but somewhere else. It is interesting. The author equates worship to justice. What does it mean? Yeah, we have to worship God. That is our duty. He ordered us to do this and that, and we have to do it. If you believe that the religion represented to us in the or with the title of Islam is true, then if we believe that the Quran, and I have to follow the requirements presented to me by by God through the Quran or through the practices of the Prophet. Not in this sense, not in this sense. The really abstract meaning of justice, abstract meaning of worship, not related to a particular religious practice. For example, if somebody does a work for you, for me, or for you, if I don't pay back, I don't feel comfortable because it is a necessary duty from my side, a kind of really requirement from my side that if someone does a job for me on an, of course, on a contract, and I have to keep my word and pay back. Now, the essence of worship is responding back to what is going on around us. It means within ourselves and in the universe, as far as the actions of the creator is concerned, are concerned, there are many, many things are presented to us. We have to do justice to these demonstrations. For example, if you go to an entertainment center, there is a singer or I don't know, ballet or what, I don't know what, how they are called, and art demonstrated or displayed. What they say, they put a notebook there and they said, write your your impressions after seeing this demonstration of the art. Or if it is something to be listened as an audience, after the performance of the audience, what do? They, oh, it's a perfect performance according to human capacity. Or the people stand up, applaud them again and again and again. What does it mean? Responding back, paying back, doing justice to the beauty of the art presented to you there. How about the universe? That is why the author is very, very interestingly equates justice and ubudiyya in one category. If I don't perform my worship, I am not doing justice to what is going on in front of my eyes. What is happening to me? Which kind of favors, grace I am receiving? And I'm just ignoring to acknowledge them. Of course, the one who's creating the universe is not expecting any payment back. I cannot pay, but at least appreciate it, acknowledge it, respond back saying that really you deserve applauding. That is glorification, perfect manifestation, perfect demonstration of all kinds of qualities manifested here, not only power, not only knowledge, wisdom, mercy, justice, etc., but all kinds of qualities we see. This is beautiful. This is is not very beautiful. They are all manifested. This is ugly, but at the same time, I have to keep away from it. And this communication is perfectly arranged between me and what is going on in the universe and in my social life, etc. If I don't respond back in an appropriate way, then I will suffer the sense of guilt within myself. But I'm not always aware of this side of my responsibility. We identify this responsibility in terms of regular prayers and also religious duties, what we are supposed to do. If we don't do it, but at the same time, if we are conscious of it and do not practice it, the same thing, although it is on a shallow way, but that is how we are created to practice the sense of guilt that I didn't do my job, my side of the duty. Everything is presented to me, everything is demonstrated in front of my eyes, and I am not doing justice to it at all. So that causes in human beings the sense of guilt. That is very human, and also the creation of sense of guilt is something to do with the performance practice of the religious duties, because these are the if you like main, if you like, material expression of it, physical expression of it. Of course, the gist of, as you said, the seed of this physical expression is, in fact, glorification, exaltation, and praise. But at least we have the cup. So when the cup is there, you can put something in it. If there is no cup, you cannot put anything. There is no cup. These things need a cup. That is the physical expression of our duties, if you like, especially as far as our subject is concerned. The prayer in physical form is the cup. So this cup must have the seed in it, so that the seed of glorification, exaltation, and praise, they will grow into a tree and really cover up my word. Grow, and at the end will become a part of my word view. That is very important between the relationship worship and justice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, thank you very much, Brother Ali, and Qasim also for the beautiful question that you had. So I think we are at time now, inshallah. So if anybody wants to make any final comment, you can do that right now. This is a beautiful way of I really love the analogy of the art in the universe. You know, how Brother Ali took it from going to a concert or a ballerina or, you know, opera or some event, and then looking at the art, and then what about the art in the universe? Yeah, and what is our feedback to our response after observing all that wonderful art? So inshallah, yes, we will continue on. Thank you so much for everyone for your comments. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka anta al-alimul hakim, wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Al-Fatiha.